Latin music pioneer Tito Puente helped define a style and era known as the Mambo. Behind the great man was a great band. The band plays on, and its legacy thrives in an unlikely place. A tradition passes from master musicians to young performers. Meet the people, hear their stories, share the passion. For the love of the Mambo.
The best Latin band was a Machito band. That is the Latin band of all time. They are, as Celia Cruz used to say, the Spanish Count Basie band. Because that reed section I would put against Marsha, Doyle, and those guys any day of the week. Because they sang those notes, and that section rang. That is sorely missing today. I mean, really badly missing. There's no such thing as that. It doesn't exist. So what you call true tone players get the true sound out of an instrument. And so when those guys played, that was outstanding, you know. And the Tito Puente band is the most exciting band by virtue of Tito himself, you know, and his writing and his concept of playing on top of the beat, whereas Machito would play a little relaxed. Tito Puente was on top, was a constant attack. And Cita Rodriguez is sort of like the difference of the two. So each of those bands had their own personality, and each of the guys had a different cowbell and a different conga and different everything, so everything sounded different. Now, today, it all sounds more or less the same. There's no personality today, you know. So, in order to be able to interpret that, you had to have been yelled at by these guys and have been in those sections and those recordings and those rehearsals and gotten the dirty looks and all this kind of stuff in order to absorb that. And that's our discipline now. So we try to play that as close as we can. I think of all the bands that are trying to play this now, we're still the best one. I don't care who else is out there playing. You know, as I said, if you weren't there, you missed it.
I can name a bunch of specific things that they told me, but the one thing I got out of it was watching Jose Madera and Johnny Rodriguez just define a pocket, just keeping a groove and maintaining it for a 5-minute tune without effort. He originally told me that I was going to take the solo over Yoro Timbero, and 3 minutes into the tune, right before the drum solo, he looks over at me and it says, eights. I was just like, what? And he repeats himself, he's just said, eights. So we were going to trade eights, and it was basically too fast for me to think about it. I was scared, but I mean, then it turned out to be one of the most memorable experiences of my life. There's a picture. Can I get the picture? There's me looking like I stubbed my toe really hard, and then there's Jose Madera looking like the coolest person in the world.
I got to sit right next to him. The way the sax section's set up, my chair was right next to his timbales, and when the saxophone player whose place I took in the Tito Puente Orchestra did the Latin flute solos. So I had to learn on the spot how to play the Latin flute solos, and I would just stand up, and sometimes there would be one mic for the sax section, so as not to take the mic away from the other guys, I would stand up and play right in Tito's mic, in between him singing core or not, so I'm playing, and I'm feeling his timbali pulse and everything like that. And it was just, you know, it's more what I absorbed than like him really telling me anything. I think the Tito Puente's band was the favorite among the dancers.
I said, Tito, can you introduce us as the Tito Puente dancers? He says, yeah, but you know, I says, I want to give you, you know, recognition. I said, yeah, but I'd be more than honored to tell people that I'm a Tito Puente dancer. So he would do that. He would introduce us. Now I have my dancers tonight. And one of the stories I remember that really touched me was that he says, Eddie, you know what? We're going to be at the Apple Orchard in Long Island tonight. You know what? When I was there last week, they asked me for you guys. He says, I was playing and people kept walking up to me. Are the dancers here with you tonight? And he says, that's when he started to realize, hey, people like this marriage, you know, this combination. So he says, I don't know, man. He says, I think I'm gonna have to make you more of a steady part of my act.
Sonny, Jerry, us five, the rhythm section, we locked in together so much. There's a word in Spanish called amarre. Amarre means like tie, somebody says tie your shoes, amarra tu zapato. Tie means, so everybody says this band has a great amarre, meaning that we really lock in the rhythm, you know what I mean? And so it makes it easy for anybody to do anything on top because the bottom is so tight, the foundation is so tight that you can experiment here and do things here and nothing's gonna go wrong because that bottom is so tight.
These are the people who, if you're listening to a recording, there's a good chance that these guys are on that recording. So there's no better way to learn what they're doing than for them to come and actually teach us. And they're very helpful, and they told us a lot of great things. They told us what to do and what not to do. They were pretty cautious about it when they first got here, in the ways that they told us. It's pretty funny the way that they'd ask us, because we'd be playing, and then we would stop, and the question would always start off the same way. It would just start off, why are you doing that like that? Why are you playing that? Why are you playing that like that? Is there a reason why you're playing that like that? It was so funny until they loosened up and they could just tell us, because I don't know how many experiences they really get with teaching people who are really as willing as we are to learn. But it took them a while to just get comfortable and just tell us, because we're looking for the information. We were trying to pull the information right out of them, and we couldn't get enough of it.
On a certain arrangement, I would do something, and then we were listening to it, and he would tell me, he says, yeah, you know that line, yeah, that thing? He says, I would have written it like that. Look, I'm getting goosebumps. Still missing. So that was, God, that's a supreme compliment. That's something I would have done, I don't know if the other guys mentioned it, Jose or Johnny. Jose might have, or the supreme compliment from Tito to another rhythm player was, you don't bother me when you play. And you have to know Tito to know that it sounds like an insult, like saying, oh my God, like a left, faint praise, that type of thing. You don't bother me when you play. That means, man, you're playing your ass off there.
A lot of people tell me that I sound like my father, but I know what they're talking about. They're talking about the phrasing. You understand? Because I know that I've adapted, and we were talking a little while ago about adapting. You see, but I'm very jealous with my father, so I don't know if I adapted anything from Vicentico Valdez or Benny Moré, but I know I have some of my father in those phrasing, because that's what I learned. I learned from listening. He recorded a charanga, and there's a part, it starts, si tú supieras que tú eres mi tormento, que el amor que yo siento, que eres mi adoración. And then there's a part that says, abrázame así, que esta noche yo quiero sentir en tu pecho el inquieto latir, cuando estás a mi lado. And then he says that again, but then like the third time he says it, he says, abrázame así. It's like, are you kidding me? And I stop what I'm doing and I press rewind, because it's just incredible how he phrased it. So tender, like, abrázame así, que en la vida no hay nada mejor que decirle que sí al corazón cuando pide cariño. Abrázame así. And I'm like, oh my God, hug me like that, please. Or come over here and I'll hug you like that. It's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it.
How do I get to do this for the rest of my life? Would be my main question.
The sound and style of the Tito Puente Orchestra go forward into the 21st century as a vibrant, evolving expression of our American musical landscape. for the love of the mambo.